Vegans! It's Friday, can you believe it? We made it one more week. Here we go.
It's so hard to not abuse animals.
September 1st.
Colonies can fuck themselves. Go fuck themselves.
This is a channel for vegans.
This is a channel for vegans. Thank you all for being here. Getting ready for this weekend. We got a real vegan on tonight.
This is a channel for
All right. Awesome. Guys, I'm really stoked. We have a super cool guest today. His name is Chase Aviar. And you know, he inspired another activist that we really like, Mr. Brown over in Florida. And it was really funny because we'd already booked Chase, and he's like, you know, Chase is the one who inspired me to be an activist. I was sitting in a restaurant, being my regular vegan self, sitting in a restaurant, and all of a sudden this guy walks in and he starts disrupting the restaurant, and I was like, I could do that shit. I could do that. And he was immediately on the veganism channel. If you go to @veganism on YouTube, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen him before. Yeah, super cool. Zach Brown. Let me see. Right now we have, I want to show you right now a little bit of what we're talking about. This is Chase.
Or a cow, or a chicken, or a turkey, who among us would take a knife to this animal's throat? Who of us would stab this innocent
Digging the
animal
soup.
in the throat and cut her head off simply so that we could get an extra flavor?
I love this. He looks like he's managing the restaurant, and he's like, who among us? You know, I like that. This is my kind of thing. I'm more of like the antagonist. I'm trying to do more of the outreach thing these days. But I like the screaming and yelling, you know what I mean? So, I mean, Chase's shit is right up my alley, you know what I'm saying? I love this stuff. Oh, damn. Here we go.
Or a turkey, who among us would take a knife to this animal's throat? Who of us would stab this innocent animal in the throat and cut her head off simply so that we could get an extra flavor? I know I wouldn't do it because I care for animals.
These chicks are like, what
But
the
you know,
fuck?
for 26
Goddamn.
years, I did eat animals. I paid people to torture and murder these innocent beings just because
Love
I was
this.
programmed to believe that violence against certain animals is okay. But these animals did not get to choose how they were born any more than we did.
This is so badass. All right, so that's who Chase is. We're going to bring him on right now. Let's do it. Please put a couple green emojis or something in the chat to welcome our friend, Chase Aviar. Here we go. Hello, how are you?
What's happening?
Hey, man, I'm so stoked that we finally got you on the show, dude. It's your shit's inspiring, you know. And I think it was funny ever since I talked about getting you here. More and more people I meet, they're like, "What? Chase is who made me want to be an activist." And it's like that's that space that I really want to talk about. It's like, how do we get more vegans into activism? So I can't wait to get to know you, man. So thanks for being here. Did I give you a good? Why don't you introduce yourself so everyone knows who the heck I'm talking to?
Yeah, no, I thought that was great. Yeah, today is my 14-year anniversary since I stopped eating animals. So I'm really
Nice.
happy about that. I just made a post about it on Facebook and it blew up. It got like 900 likes in like 2 hours. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Everybody's just really amped up about that. So that's cool. Yeah, and then
Well, it's your Vegan Declaration Day, man. Happy Vegan Declaration Day.
well, technically, like this is celebrating my vegetarian day, you know, because I did
Okay.
go vegetarian for the animals, you know, just because I thought that was good enough, because I didn't know about the cruelty in the egg and dairy industry until a vegan pointed that out to me like a year and a half later, and then I went vegan overnight, you know, just like I went vegetarian overnight for the animals. I did the same, and never looked back, you know.
You know, I had the same experience, man. Like, well, I was like 15. I went vegetarian, and I was on and off. But it was for the animals. I didn't want to benefit from other people's death, basically. And then, you know, a carny actually was the one who told me I was a hypocrite. It wasn't even a vegan that pointed out that I was a liar, you know. And I went vegan overnight because of it. But so how did that happen? Let's talk about that. Were you raised in a vegetarian household or something? What happened? Like.
No. I was raised in a pretty meat eating household for sure. I'm still the only vegan in my household, in my whole family, but but I love them still, you know. But yeah, so I guess I just I became a human rights activist when I was like 21 or something. I think I was in jail. I was had made a mess out of my life and was full of regret. And so I was like, well, this didn't add up very well, so I want to try a different thing, and so I tried to make the world a better place, than what I found it in. And so I'm a human rights activist fighting, for progressive causes like women's rights and gay rights and anti-war stuff and all that, and Black Lives Matter. Well, this was before that, but
yeah. I know what you mean, though. Like social justice, you were justice minded. You had a revolutionary mindset. I think that's so important. That I find that a lot with vegans, man. I was the same way. Like I remember my first protest that I went to was for workers' rights at Taco Bell. I was protesting Taco Bell buying tomatoes from from an inhumane source. Basically, they're buying tomatoes from where they weren't treating people all right. And I had not even thought about. I wasn't really thinking about everything, but I guess I was sort of thinking about animals. But I know what you mean. You kind of had that like in your blood a little bit. Yeah.
I had a fire up under me, because I just started. I don't know why, but I just really did start caring a whole lot and wanted to, just turn things around. So I did, and then I was just eventually I felt like a hypocrite because I was, not extending that circle of consideration to these other beings. I was still discriminating against a group that was marginalized. And if I claim to be against discrimination and oppression, and I think I'm this good person now, but here I am paying people to stab these gentle animals who did me no wrong, so it just didn't sit well no more. So I just pushed that steak away and ordered a salad because that's all they had there, and
got used to learning about French fry. I would give a French fry connoisseur.
Yeah. But it gets easier when you learn how to do it, but the first few weeks were a little rough, but nothing I couldn't handle. You just change your priorities to think about the victims and what they deserve, and the justice matters more than my taste buds and my habits and all that crap, And,
so this was like 14 years ago, you said, huh? So
yes. 2009.
2009. Yeah. So mine, I was 2005, and it was like different world. Like we had Boca Burger but that was about it, right? Did you what part of the world were you in? Were you in New York or?
I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Albuquerque. That's I am the danger. I am the one who knocks. You're the Heisenberg.
Yeah. Breaking Bad. I am the one who knocks.
I am the one who knocks Skyler. Yeah, that was. My name is Skyler. So the fact that his wife is named Skyler and was like the villain of the story somehow, like she was always portrayed as like not the villain because he's kind of the villain, but she's kind of this. She wasn't portrayed in a nice way.
Yeah, but they shot a lot of the whole series of Breaking Bad was shot in Albuquerque. And I actually was in the show as an extra, just a background actor. But they cut my scene. Yeah, I was there, and like it was really cool. And both the stars, Aaron Paul and the guy who plays Walter White, they were both really great guys. Really nice.
Cranston. Yeah.
Cranston. Yeah, really down to earth. So that was cool.
That is cool. It's funny because so many people have been like, because I've always wanted to live in New Mexico. I love maybe not Albuquerque, but I love Taos, and I would love to live out there on the Mesa in one of those Earth ships that are like off the grid. I've always had I probably never do it, but I always kind of had this dream of like off the grid living out there in the middle of nowhere.
The desert.
Yeah, well, like they got that. Well, there's a ski resort there, so it's not all desert. It's like you kind of get both,
Yeah, up in the hills.
Yeah, it's like Las Vegas. People think of Las Vegas as in the desert, but Mount Charleston's right there. So it's like you drive 30 minutes, you're in the snow. You drive 30 minutes, it's 90 degrees. It's a very, I love that where you can get both. Anyway,
Yeah.
but every time I bring up New Mexico, people are like, well, they got a meth problem there.
Oh yeah, because of Breaking Bad.
It was just cheap to film there, man. It wasn't, it wasn't that they,
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a math problem, but what are you gonna do?
that's America. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that.
But now I live in Idaho in this tiny little town. There's just like a few thousand people who live there, and it's Trump territory. So I got to be a little careful. But I'm still out there on the streets with my protest signs every now and then. But yeah,
Nice.
there's like slaughter trucks at the gas station, just a regular thing, in this tiny
Yeah.
little town. But so I don't really have any activist friends, unfortunately, or any vegan friends. I don't have any friends at all really down there. But I got some family, so that's good. And I got my puppy dogs,
Yeah. Well, when you first went vegan, did you have that support group? Did you know vegans, or you're just like, screw this, I'm doing it?
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't know anybody. I didn't have, the leaflet or the websites or all the great vegan options that people got nowadays. We just buckled down and did it because it's the right thing to do.
That's right.
And,
I had the PETA website is basically all I had, and I
Okay,
had
Yeah, and that helps though for sure.
yeah, back in the day it did.
Yeah, and so I remember one of my friends went vegan after I did, Richard. So that was really cool. I was proud of him for that. But that was the only one. So, for 5 years, I tried, veganizing my friends by showing them the videos and explaining everything. And, but yeah, nobody ever came around really. And so I was like, I got to move to California to find me a vegan community because I know there's a bunch of activists out there.
Yeah.
And so, so I definitely found that and it was great.
What part of California?
Well, I went to Los Angeles and Berkeley. And we did some activism in San Francisco as well. Like, yeah.
Very cool. Damn, I was in Berkeley, and I lived in Berkeley from 2005 to 2008. I want to say I went to
Okay.
school there, and that's when I went vegan. I went vegan in 2005.
Cool.
In Berkeley, and we had Berkeley Bowl and stuff like that. But it, even though it gets this, that town gets a kind of reputation for being really liberal and everything. There really weren't that many vegans when I went. Like, we had a Cafe Gratitude and stuff, but that shit was so expensive. I wasn't eating there, I was eating like fruits and berries, anything that like. But there was a cool frugivore, like freegan movement where people like urban fruit foraging, where
Yeah.
if it's hanging over the sidewalk, you can pick the fruit. And the early days of the internet, really, you could like find it online. Oh, there's lemons, and you can like run out there and grab lemons and shit. I mean, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
But-
it has. Berkeley has its perks, but it's really expensive. And like you said, considering they that as a town as a whole, they pride themselves on being really progressive, but
Yeah.
there's a huge housing crisis because they're not really taking care of the poor well enough. So
There's a lot of NIMBY going on over there. Not in my backyard type of thing happening. And, I lived on the border of Berkeley and Oakland, and we had rent control, but I lived in a semi-subterranean apartment for which I took student loans, and I'm still paying them off. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it's rough.
there's... Yeah, whatever. It's the thing. But that's cool though. You moved to LA, and that's where you found your activist roots. That's how you were
Yeah.
like, That's cool.
Well, I mean, I would consider myself having already been an activist that 5 years in Albuquerque because I really was, like talking to everybody, coworkers and strangers on the street and shit like that, But like
Yeah.
every cashier I could find, like leave them a video on a piece of paper, like, hey, check out this video, even if it was just like a handwritten little note, But like
Yeah.
nowadays, let me show you this real quick. Everywhere I go, I got these professional like activist cards that I made. Oh, I got my green
Hold
screen on, so you can't really
let's
see it.
see. Oh, let me see here. Let me see. There we go. How can I get just you up there? Hold on a second. Let's. I'm gonna give me a second. We're gonna
Yeah,
do
if
this.
we-
Watch this.
Okay.
Boom. There.
All right.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
I see a picture
yeah.
of you, sort of. So they're
Right.
cards. They're like
There you
business
go,
cards.
Yeah, so like here's me holding a pig,
Yeah.
a little photo, and then it's kind of like the anonymous for the voiceless cards where it's got, Darius Scary on YouTube and
Yeah.
and things like that, and then one of my videos, and then recipes, and then a little quote down here at the bottom from me which says, "If it's wrong to kick an animal, isn't it worse to cut their head off?"
Yeah.
And I
I
think
love
that's pretty
that.
powerful, and then on the other side, you got me flexing, showing I got my vegan protein here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
you gotta have that.
and then a little cat and a pig, and then a
Uh-huh.
little quote I got talking about how speciesism is similar to racism and that kind of thing. So
Dude, I really like that. And they're like business cards. They're kind of like, oh, let me see this one. Let's do this.
yeah, and then this one is like health facts, right? Like from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetic and stuff. So this will be like a little quote from them, a quote from another health association, and then some Netflix videos, right, about
Mhm.
your health. And then on this side is about the environment. And so you'll
Yeah.
see like all kinds of quotes from the United Nations, and then videos to watch on Netflix like Cowspiracy and things like that. So I'm really happy I got these cards. My friend
Yeah.
Robin helped me make them, and they turned out really good. So if anybody wants some professional business cards, you can hit me up or hit up my buddy
Yeah.
Robin, or you just do it through Vistaprint.
That's what I thought. I was gonna say it has to be Vistaprint, right? Because they even give you like your first 50 for free still or something like that.
I'm
They
not
do
sure,
They used
but
to give you like 1,000 for free or something
oh really?
stupid. Back when business cards were popular, they'd be like your first 1,000 free with Vistaprint, and they would have like a little Vistaprint logo on them, but they were
Wow,
free. So like, I've started lots of businesses in my life.
cool.
Like, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I just started a lot of shit. And bands, when I was in bands, I would be like, oh, my band needs business cards,
Yeah.
Vistaprint, and I'd get like a bunch of business cards and give them to like any venues, or I just
Yeah,
give it them
totally.
all. Yeah, I like that, like a vegan business card with little info with some quotes and stuff on it. It's perfect.
Yeah, it works out really well, and people seem to respond to it. So everywhere I go, I hand those cards out.
And there's some light activism too. It's not like all the in your face stuff. And I know a lot of people have a hard time with some of the more vocal stuff, which is kind of funny because I actually have a harder time doing the. I don't know. I have a harder time getting over because I'm so tall. I get really kind of nervous about being intimidating around people when
I got you.
when I do like street outreach. But when I'm screaming and yelling, it really serves me to be intimidating because like that restaurant manager coming up to you and like trying to talk shit, they don't do that to me. They're like,
Got
"Hello,
you.
sir. Would you please
Sir.
leave?"
Excuse me, sir. Okay,
Excuse
cool.
me,
Yeah,
sir. Yeah, we're gonna have to
nice.
call the police if you keep on going, sir.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. That might be helpful. Yeah, because I'm kind of a short dude. I'm only like 5'10", So, um,
But I bet you the well, that's not short. That's like average American, right? I mean, that's perfect though. That's like the perfect height to do outreach. And so I'm about to go on a 3-month journey just doing outreach with college students, but I've
Cool.
got other people to like soften my presence, and I
Okay,
think that
great.
that'll be cool too. Plus, I'll have shirts on that say in a van and like stuff like that. So,
Cool.
but
Is
yeah, I'm
that,
going on the PETA abduction tour.
Oh, okay. PETA abduction tour. That sounds interesting. Yeah, I've volunteered with PETA several times. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I'm doing abduction is like I put these VR headsets on people's faces
Yeah.
and they get abducted by aliens and
Oh.
medical research is done on them, and then when they're done you go like, so how would you like it if people were doing that to you in real life? Oh, I wouldn't like that. Well, that's what's happening on this campus every day because you allow it.
Yeah.
You allow these
right. Tear them up.
Yeah, you need to write your chancellor right now and tell
Yeah.
him that you don't want animal testing on your campus. You don't want your tuition dollars going to this shit.
Cool.
So it's like that. I'm really stoked about it because anti-vivisection, not many people do, right? Like
Yeah.
it's usually the veg, right? Veg,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that's kind of my specialty is focusing on like the farmed animals, But yeah, there's so much room for so many different types of activism and pressure campaigns like that, and that focus on experimentation or zoos and circuses, and we made a lot of progress by shutting down Barnum and Bailey zoos. Like they were running around for like 150 years.
Yes.
Animals, and we shut them down. It took decades of activists protesting the circuses, but it really dwindled their numbers of attendance. A lot of people turn away when they see we holding signs of the animals being whipped backstage and stuff.
Yeah.
So
And those
they,
what do you call those horns that they were using for
Bull
the elephants, right?
yeah, bull hooks.
The hooks, right? That's what I meant. Yeah, those bull hooks. It's so horrible. Like, you know, something like animal entertainment is particularly disgusting to me. I get really bent out of shape when I see horses in movies. I'm like,
Yeah.
you ruined the movie for me, you know?
Yeah, and like specifically, like there was a movie that came out with Benedict Cumberbatch like a year ago.
Oh, the Power of the Dog. I refuse to watch it.
Dude, I didn't know. Like, I started watching it, and like I think he really hit that horse in the face. Like, because you see it's not CGI, and you see the horse like freak out backwards, like they're being hit, you know. And I turned that shit off. Like, I got so
Yeah.
yeah,
Dude, so apparently he also like castrates a bull or some male animal, obviously, and it's real. And Benedict Cumberbatch is one of those assholes that claims that he's vegan. One of these, I'm vegan, and you're not if you're punching horses in the face, dickwad.
Yeah. So we need to clear up the misconception between vegan and plant-based. You know, veganism
For
is
sure.
a philosophy. You might eat a vegan diet, but you ain't vegan. You know, if you're hitting
Yeah.
horses in the face.
Exactly. You ain't vegan if you punch a horse, you get your V card taken away immediately.
Right? Vegan
Yeah,
police are gonna show up quick.
Yeah, they're gonna show up. No strike. There's no 3 strikes on that one. When
Yeah.
you're actually like literally beating a horse for pay.
And while we're at it, like, let's talk about Joaquin Phoenix real quick and like ride.
Yeah,
horses.
let's talk about Joaquin. Let's do it.
So
Is he vegan, Chase?
I think he is. I think that
Ah!
here's the thing. I'm gonna cut him a little slack because I saw an interview where he was talking about how, you know, he signed some movie contracts, like saying that he wanted to be in these movies that they offered him, and he didn't realize, you know, that there would be horseback riding involved in it, but now the contract has already been signed and stuff. And then once he's on the horse, you know, filming, and he's like, yeah, they, you know, you can tell they really don't like it, you know. And so he's saying that in the interview, and that he was regretting doing that, you know. But and so, and it's kind of like, you know,
all right, I've read that too, and I gave him the pass too. And then this year was announced Napoleon.
I know, Napoleon, and so he's doing it again. And so I don't know if if it was another case of that, but like if I were an actor, you know, what I would say, well, I mean, I am an actor, kind of, like, I don't really, not working, but like I would say, like, I'm not doing any McDonald's commercials, I'm not riding any fucking horses, you know.
Mhm.
And that's hard for an up and coming actor to do,
But not him.
easier for him, exactly, because they could do CGI horses. And just
Yeah, or put him on a stool and trick
Yeah.
it. You know, I always say Shakespeare didn't have horses on stage, and he had some of the most epic battles of the history. And you know, if it was he was
Yeah.
able to do it, we could do it.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I wish that Joaquin would have done better on this. And none of us are perfect. He might have been caught in a hard spot. And also, like, there's this thing of maintaining a, you know, like a cost benefit analysis of, like, sometimes, like, we can't be perfect, and, like, you know, doing a little bit of harm to cause some greater good of, like, maintaining a career, winning another Academy Award, giving another big speech about animal rights at the Oscars is potentially in his future. One in which he says, you know, I got to quit riding horses, hopefully. You know what I mean?
Well,
So-
I guess if he actually did that, that doesn't excuse what he's currently doing, though. I mean, like, the gamble, like using a horse is to get an Oscar, to me, is the same as using a cow to fill your belly. Like, I don't know the difference here. And
I hear you.
And I just don't, I'm not, I totally agree when he first said that shit, like, oh, I signed some contracts and I didn't. The same thing happened with James Cameron. He signed contracts to do these tours to promote Avatar. And then he shows up at this place and there's dolphins. He's at a freaking water dolphin thing and he gets all pissed off about it. He's like, you assholes, I didn't know about this. And he even said, oh, did all these dolphins consent to be here? They even said that. And I was pissed, but then Cameron apologized. He's like, dude, I signed contracts that I had to go on these things. I didn't know this was going to happen, and I'm pissed about it. And I let everyone know I was pissed about it. I'm sure people got fired over that shit.
Yeah.
But Joaquin Phoenix is working with Ridley Scott again. That's the guy who did Gladiator the last time he rode the goddamn horse. You know, he knew this was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, maybe, like, I'm just really impressed with everything else that Joaquin has done. You know, he's really done a lot of great stuff. And I'm hoping that he'll, you know, really make a public amends about this and perhaps push, like if he wins another Oscar, he might push for, you know, like we got to stop using animals in entertainment. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
you're-
excited to see what he does next. Is all I'm saying.
yeah, I guess you're right about that. I think, you know, what the lesson for me is how seriously entrenched we are and how insidious it is that we are using animals at all. Like that, no animal use is where I want to be. No cages, and it's like. It's kind of like I think of the same thing with like Gary Francione. I disagree with so many things he says these days, and yet he's our best vegan philosopher alive right now. Is that like what we got? That's the best we got right now.
I don't
what I
know
mean,
about that.
like-
I think we've got a lot of good great activists.
Activists, but like, do we have like a philosopher writing books and like we need those guys too? And I don't know how many of those like Tom Regan's dead.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. And Peter Singer doesn't always.
Peter Singer sucks.
Go the full way. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think there's a lot of them. You know, they just might not have real popular names yet. You know.
I hope you're right. Yeah, I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Speaking of philosophy professors and veganism, when I was in college at a community college, I was already vegan, and I made a little short film about veganism where I'm giving a speech and like showing slaughter videos, and I gave this and to my professor at the college, who was vegetarian at the time. And I talked about animal rights a lot in our classes. This is an intro to philosophy, and because we were dealing with ethics at certain times, right? And and so by the end of the semester, he told me and the whole class that from now on, for all of his future semesters, he's going to be incorporating a whole section about animal rights, you know, and that he had gone vegan. So that was really cool. And so, you know. And there was like 30 students in that class. So, you know, all into the future. That's just a beautiful thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that is, and those are a lot of seeds to be planted. And it's funny that when you study philosophers, you'll start finding more and more of them, if not vegan, were really, really thinking about this shit. Even ones that like Descartes, like we talk about Descartes. In fact, I used nailing Descartes to the wall by Propagandhi for our little promo video I did for this.
Nice.
And but Descartes was even talking about, he's thinking so much about and trying to justify hurting animals, right? I mean, philosophers have to address this throughout time. Even if they're on the wrong side of it, they're always thinking about this shit. And so it's shocking to me that we don't have more. Like, how many people do you encounter that simply haven't thought about this shit at all?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah. And another thing that's frustrating, in addition to philosophers not paying the attention it deserves, is leftists and progressives not paying.
They're the worst ones.
You know what I mean? And like the atheist community also, who like prides themselves like on being awakened and
we're so bright. Yes.
Yeah, having gotten over the brainwashing of religion, indoctrination, and all that. You know, like, and I feel that too. Like, I'm an atheist activist. You know. Because I have religious trauma from my, you know.
Oh, I'm right there with you, man. I'm anti-theist. I'm like, I'm super hardcore about that. There is no God. I am upset by even the notion of one. I am offended by you suggesting there might be one.
Yeah, like I consider myself an agnostic atheist. You know, I because maybe there's some trickster god, some evil god out there,
some trickster. Yeah. Okay.
Or a god who's like, maybe they want to
entirely apathetic.
Yeah. Either the god is a jerk, or the god, like, in my opinion, I think, you know, maybe the god wants to help but isn't powerful enough to help. You know,
but was powerful enough to create all this shit. Yeah. You know, powerful enough to create a parasite that lives in our eyeballs, but not but powerful enough to help us out with you know, not killing each other. No, I get that, but man, that is something that I find wholly frustrating about this. Not just like that liberals, especially these days, because it's all virtue signaling, so many leftists, where I'm like, oh, you care about justice, huh?
Right.
Okay, well, if you care about, because I love what you said before, which was, I wanted to fight oppression, I wanted to fight for justice, and then I realized that veganism was clearly the only option. Like, if you care about those ideals,
Yeah,
right? Like,
and specifically the way I came to that was, have you seen the movie District 9?
mhm.
Yeah, so District 9 is a sci-fi movie from 2009 where aliens kind of like crash land on Earth it's 20 years in the future in South Africa, and the aliens are sick and vulnerable. They have some kind of illness, but they don't mean us any harm, and they have little kids that they care about. But the humans in the movie exploit the aliens' vulnerability and put them in these ghetto camps and
Yeah,
run
apartheid,
painful,
yeah.
yeah, apartheid, right? Like run
Mhm.
painful experiments on the aliens and stuff, and it just got me thinking about like discrimination in general and like racism, but it wasn't racism because they're not even the same species as us. So I was like, speciesism? Yeah, and then the next day I was eating a steak and I was like, wait a minute, like the way that like I'm discriminating against animals because they're not human in the same way that the humans were discriminating against the aliens for not being human, but nobody gets to choose how they're born, and there's nothing wrong with being different. So I should just be nice to everybody.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's like the social, what do they call it? The veil of ignorance for social contract, right? And if we extend that to the veil of ignorance, if we extend that to whether or not you're born a cow or a person, the social contract should be good for all involved, no matter how you're born.
Yeah, I like that. John Rawls and the veil of ignorance. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like imagine that you have a blindfold on and like, you're trying to create a world.
And you're not born yet.
Yeah, you're not born into the world yet, but you're trying to create a just and fair world. And then you're going to enter the world at a random place. Like you might be the janitor or the CEO, the head of the company, or you might be a straight person with no problems, or you might be born gay, in which case you're going to face a lot of oppression and stuff. Or you might be born human, where you've got human privilege. You might have some problems still, but at least you're not an animal in a slaughterhouse. And so you might be born as an animal. So if you want to create a fair world that would protect you and everyone, then you want to create a world wherein there is no racism or sexism or homophobia or speciesism, because you could be the victim.
Yeah, because you don't know which way you're gonna be born into it, right? You don't know. You could be born a cow. It better be a good world for a cow if you're the one inventing the world.
Yeah, it's a cool little thought experiment.
I've really liked that as like a normative theory with philosophy as well, because Tom Regan uses it a lot, like Rawlsian veil of ignorance and like contractarianism and that type of thing. Are you? Is that what you studied in college? Was philosophy?
Quite a bit, yeah. Philosophy and psychology and public speaking and screenwriting, directing, acting.
Wow. So these are things that kind of right up the activist alley, right? You're just perfect. You kind of right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Did you automatically take to this type of activism, these disruptions and stuff? Because I mean, it seems like it's pretty ballsy going into restaurants sometimes by yourself and doing this. It's kind of dangerous too, actually, going all alone. But how did you kind of get started with this?
Well, I think I was always pretty passionate and bold person, sometimes for good and sometimes for bad. But then so I was, most of my activism for the first 5 years being vegan was just polite conversations and sometimes heated debates. Though I probably wasn't that great at debating back then, but I was learning it. I was going through the steps of figuring out how to debate. And
well, yeah, and you're like forced to defend yourself immediately. As soon as you tell people, "Hey, I'm gonna go vegan," people are like, "Well, why? Well, what about the?" And it's like, dude, I'm just trying to like immediately, like, you have to be a black belt. I can't think of anything else like that where. If you started to say, you know what, I think I'm going to start studying philosophy, and someone's like, well, what do you think about, what do you think about Rawlsian veil of ignorance? I don't know. Right. I haven't read that shit yet.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think it's great that, we've got activists like Earthling Ed and Joey Carbstrong, who are making great content that, you know, explain a lot of these debates and different resources that we have, you know, every argument against veganism and all that stuff.
Totally.
But as far as yeah, to finish my answer to your question of
Yeah.
how did I get involved with protesting, I guess the first protest I went to was a small circus protest in Albuquerque, and I felt pretty out of place. I didn't know what to do, and
How'd you
I
find
felt-
them?
I felt uncomfortable and hated by the people we were protesting, you know, because I mean we were protesting against the circus, but it's like if the families keep walking in, then they feel like we're protesting against them, and we kind of are, you know. 'Cause
You're
it's
ruining their night. Well, what
Yeah.
you know, they paid their hard-earned money to go to the circus, right?
Yeah.
Well, how did you find the activists though?
I think I probably through Facebook, you know, I found like vegan groups on Facebook in my area, and that kind of thing. There was only one group, and it was really small, and they weren't really doing activism. It was just a food potluck kind of thing, and some of them were
Mhm.
vegetarians, and most of them were like in their 50s or 60s and stuff. But it was still cool, and I gave a speech for them, and they were really nice. But what happened was I saw a video online of, you know, because I was doing diligent searches all the time about speeches, animal rights lectures, and anything of the sort. And because back then there was no protests, there was no outreach like Anonymous for the Voiceless or anything. There was nobody doing nothing. Except for Gary Yourofsky giving his crazy speech, which was awesome. You know, and really he empowered me as well, you know. But then I saw a video from Direct Action Everywhere, DXE, and that of them protesting inside of a restaurant, and it was actually like a compilation video, and it was a music video, so it had, you know, it was very entertaining and inspiring, and so I started showing that to my vegan friend, and he didn't like it. He was like, "No, that's crazy. You don't do that." And I was like, "I don't know though, bro. You know,
I don't know. I'm kidding.
and
Getting
so
my
then
blood going.
And then when I moved to California a year later, you know, that was the first thing I did was connect with the activists from DXE, and I actually kind of like quizzed them, like I kind of put them to the test about like convince me that protesting is actually a good thing, like, and specifically protesting inside of a restaurant or grocery store, because, you know, you're pissing off a lot of people, right? You know, like, and
especially restaurants. That's like, they've done lots. People are real pissed when you do it at a restaurant.
Yeah, and it took a couple days for the activists to convince me, but then they had me. Yeah, they explained a lot of the sociological research and the social psychology and the historical precedent of other social justice movements like the civil rights and women's rights and gay rights and anti-war movement, and, you know, so it's just another one of those great tactics that, yeah, sometimes you gotta be confrontational to create an uproar. You know, even if you're like upsetting people, they're going to go out and talk about it, you know, and they're going to say, you should have seen these crazy vegans came into the restaurant while I was eating, but talking about killing animals and all this. You never know, the person they're talking to might be like, well, I don't know, bro, because I saw a slaughterhouse video on YouTube today and it was terrible. I mean, maybe the vegans are right. You know,
also, they'll tell that story for the rest of their lives. That's the craziest thing that ever happened to them in a restaurant. You know what I mean? Like, I worked in restaurants and in hospitality for almost 20 years. Or no, for longer, like 25 years. And 28 years, something stupid. And I all the time, restaurants and hospitality. And let me tell you, crazy shit goes down all the time. But when people experience that, that's the craziest thing that ever happened to them in a restaurant. And they talk about it for the rest of their lives.
And, you know, one time, like I have a video on my YouTube called Vegans Get High Fives from Rage Against the Machine during a protest in a steakhouse, right? Because like Tom Morello, the lead guitarist of Rage Against the Machine, was in there with his family while we were disrupting the steakhouse, and they applauded us. His wife gave us a standing ovation, and then he gave us all high fives on the way out. It was crazy, and we've got it on camera, you know.
What was he eating that night?
I know, right? But I think he made a post on social media on Instagram afterwards, because he took a picture of us while we were doing it, and he he said, these animal rights activists came in and protested, and I support, my whole family supports. We were in here for, his mother's 90th birthday and that kind of thing. And who knows what he eats, but he at least appreciates the social justice aspect of it.
Yeah, a lot of people pro-activist. That's kind of how I
Yeah.
usually. I'm pro-activist, like I'll get out there and start making some noise. I'm sick of everyone walking around like robots. I'm sick of people. I want to celebrate critical thinking. I want to celebrate individuality and people standing up for what's right or what they believe is right. Get
Yeah.
up, go.
Yeah, and especially if there's truth behind their message, But also,
Yeah.
like, I think it brings up something interesting that, I forgot what I was gonna say now, and it was so interesting. It'll come back to me in a second.
That's all right. I was gonna ask you. Damn, now I'm lost. That doesn't happen very often. So did you always want to? Yeah, is it okay if I ask you what you got in trouble for? Can I ask you that one? Why were you in trouble?
Oh, why was I in jail in my 20s?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
for selling mushrooms.
For mushrooms?
Yeah, selling mushrooms. Yeah.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
like
that'll
that
get it.
much, I was
Yeah.
selling them to another adult. Like, get off my ass,
Yeah. And now if you were in Colorado today, it'd be completely legal. You wouldn't have had a problem at all. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Yeah, right. Like that's one of those things with drugs in this country. I feel like that's a huge social justice issue that people are in jail for minor possession.
Yeah.
And or possession with intention to sell, whatever the fuck that means. And it's people locked up for nothing.
Yeah,
You know?
and now I'm a convicted felon for the whole rest of my life, especially because this happened in Arizona where they don't do expungements.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can't
they'll mess
expunge
up.
your conviction. But I mean, this was 20 years ago, but
Yeah.
having a felony record makes it really hard to find a job or a place to live because they all do background checks, So sometimes you just skip the part where they ask about your background,
Yeah.
and a lot of times they won't actually do the background check. But anyway,
They won't even do it. They'll do a credit check before they do a background check.
yeah.
That stuff's so scary. My it's when I was in Nevada and I needed to get I need to be a key holder, and they're really serious about who is a key holder for alcohol licenses.
Okay.
Because of what used to happen in Vegas. It used to be run by certain groups, you know what I mean? And so they did an FBI background check on me a couple times. And the first time they did it, my father had been convicted of a murder, but we had the same name. And they're like, yeah, well, this happened like a few years before you were born.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, fuckers. Like, it's a social security number. Can't you tell? Like, what are you doing to me? Like, it's the fact that people are keeping tabs on you is like what we were supposed to be afraid of in the 80s when they were talking about the Russians and them Russians are coming. They're gonna keep tabs on you.
Yeah.
It's like, isn't that where we are today? Everyone's got tabs on everybody else.
I remember what I was gonna say, and this is important. So sorry to
Go for it.
with no
This
transition.
is Logan. This is Logan.
Yeah.
Logan Brown right here. That's the guy I was talking about. That was inspired by you when he said. I asked him why he became an activist. He said, "Have you ever heard of this guy named Chase Avior? Have you ever heard of that guy?"
That's awesome. That's awesome. Good to hear you. Yeah, my pleasure. keep up the good work. So here's what I was going to say was that we don't need to get everybody to be vegan. We don't even need to get, half the people to be vegan, like half of the population. We may not even need to get like 10%. All we need to do is get enough people who are animal lovers or who are, sympathetic to our cause to not get in our way when we make new laws to ban slaughterhouses. Because there are a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people who said that they struggle with the willpower to actually go vegan, right? But they would support a law banning slaughterhouses, essentially.
Yeah.
And they know that would force meat off of the shelves, and then they would be forced to eat the vegan foods. This is a strange situation, but it's something we have to realize is true. And
I don't think it's that strange though, man. I think what you're doing is that's hopeful, right? That's hopeful, and I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of hope, but that's not that strange. When they passed seatbelt laws, people were like, I don't want to buckle my seatbelt, but if you put it on the ballot, I'll vote. I know a lot of people dying, and a lot of shit's going on because of seatbelt. Or motorcycle helmets. I don't want to wear a motorcycle helmet. Da 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 da. Cigarette laws. It used to be. I don't know where you were when they started passing the cigarette laws, but I was in California when they passed it, and then 20 years later or something, no, not that long, maybe 15 years later when they passed it in Virginia. I was living there when they changed the cigarette laws, and let me tell you, the same shit, what you just said, like, I don't think it's, I don't want to go outside and smoke, but if you put it on the ballot, I'm a smoker, but I'll vote for it. And they did.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, and like I've really had this conversation about animal rights with a lot of people. So I think it is hopeful because we struggle with veganizing everybody, because it's really just a willpower thing and an availability thing. If there was more vegan foods available to them, and if their social, like if all of their friends were vegan, then they'd be vegan. You know what I mean? Because I think the strongest predictor of our behavior is the social circumstances in which we're raised and what we currently find ourselves in, the norms of our culture.
Obesity is contagious. If you hang around with obese friends, you become more obese. If you hang around with workout junkies, guess what? You're going to have a six-pack. It's just like you have, that's just, we're creatures of habit and we're herd animals practically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so part of disruption is to disrupt that social norm and that complacency, to shake things up and start a new norm where we stigmatize violence against animals and we hold up and praise defending animals.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that's I Noam Chomsky, who should be vegan and isn't, another one of those atheists that for some reason doesn't fall in line, doesn't want to live an ethical life. He talks about like these that 20% are these agenda setters. They're the ones that have like college degrees and they're up in high places, and then the rest of the 80% kind of follow orders. They don't want to rock the boat too much. They don't want to they just want to live their lives, and then there's like these upper echelon of people that are like the real money, the real power. But there's that 20%, and if you could convince that 20% of just doing the right thing most of the time, they'll set the agenda. That's how slavery was, how human slavery was abolished, was exactly what you're talking about. They didn't want to give that shit up. Hell no. And white people didn't care, because why would they? Because most of them didn't care. Luckily, there were activists that were disrupting and doing really hardcore activism back then to change the world.
Yeah, and it helps motivate, that kind of disruptive, powerful activism helps motivate people who are on the fence about the issue to take a stand one way or the other. Like, get off that fence. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And also to help people who are already on our side but not really active yet to become more active.
So I love that, and I hate to go back to this, but when you got back on track, so did I, because my next question was going to be about caustic septic and how you feel about ex-vegans and some of these, like especially these vocal ex-vegans. That do you think they hurt the cause, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's just growing pains for the movement. I think, like, real quick before I talk about ex-vegans, like another bit of hope though is like the environmental movement is backing us up. Like a lot of people are buying plant-based foods for the environment or for their health, and that helps the animal rights movement. That helps us with the supply and demand chain to eventually make it easier to outlaw slaughterhouses and that kind of thing. Hopefully we'll be able to get to that point in a decade or two. It might start in small progressive areas and expand from there. But
yeah, I get that. The environmental movement, I get a little bit of not to push back completely, because I'll say something along the same lines that you just did, where I'll say like, people are gonna have to go plant-based. There's no way around it. It's gonna happen, or we're not gonna have a future. I don't see any way. If humanity's gonna have a future, it's gonna be a plant-based future, or we're just gonna perish. Yeah. Or it's just going to get so costly because of global warming to raise animals that they won't have a choice that way, and we'll have huge die-offs of humanity. But I mean, that doesn't. My problem is that I want the change of the status change of animals. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah,
think
I'm
that
with
those environmentalists get that shit at all. I don't.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I'm just trying to say, like, it can still help our movement. And once
Yeah.
people, oftentimes once people stop eating animals for health or environment reasons, their defenses may be lowered to where they're now more open-minded to the animal rights stuff. I see that happen.
Yeah.
But in any case,
Yeah, it's interesting, and I guess you're right too. The environmentalist thing, if we do stop growing animals to murder them, we'll also stop deforesting the natural habitats and destroying the natural habitats of elephants and the like. So maybe we can, start rewilding some of these animals that have been falsely incarcerated for our entertainment.
Yeah.
I guess
But yeah, but as far as ex-vegans, like, so Cosmic
yeah,
Skeptic,
let's talk a
like,
little shit.
yeah, that was silly because like I saw his explanations for why he stopped being vegan and why he wants to start eating fish. I guess it's because like he's got IBS, irritable bowel syndrome,
Yeah.
but he wasn't blaming it really on that because he was saying he's like, I'm not saying that veganism caused my IBS or that people with IBS can't be vegan. It was just like an availability thing that when he would go out with his friends or something on some adventure, that there would be some secluded location where they wouldn't have all the vegan foods that don't upset his stomach. And it's like, well, just pack a snack, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we all do.
I feel like I've been on airplane. I was on an airplane once that was so long and they didn't have a vegan option. And I just went, okay, I guess I'm intermittent fasting right now.
Yeah, dude, I went on a 5-day hunger strike for the animals. Like, and I ain't trying to like mess with nobody's medical conditions or nothing. Like, do what you got to do. And
James Aspey didn't talk for a fucking year, and this guy can't go out to dinner one time. Come on.
I know, pack a snack. That's really all he had to do. So, but I think he just lost a bit of the motivation, probably because he had no circle of vegans around him. He didn't have a social support network and just didn't have the willpower to go through it, I guess.
I don't know. I think it's way worse than that. I think it was money. I think that he started not getting because he does speaking gigs, right? And he goes on other people's show, goes on Piers Morgan and shit like that. And they would always ask him about veganism, and they wouldn't invite him onto other shit. But now that he's no longer vegan, he gets asked about whether or not we should have the monarchy on Piers Morgan. He doesn't get asked about veganism anymore. So
I hear you. Well, I think he was probably still getting asked other stuff, but I'm not sure. I think he's being sincere to some degree, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's just it's just flaky is all.
Yeah. Do you think you can be an ex-vegan, or is it you're either on or you're off?
Yeah, I do. Like, I had a friend who was an animal rescuer with DXE, like high status, like super activist type. And she got married to a non-vegan and started hanging out with all the non-vegans. And then, a couple years later, she makes a post about how she's eating animal products again, and she feels bad about it. And but she's still doing it, and I'm like, how could you turn your back on something you fought so hard for?
Well, also you just abandon like all of your ethics. What, you're gonna go buy a Louis Vuitton bag next? Like, what do you? It's that type of shit, man.
Yeah. So like some people aren't fazed by their social circumstances, but we do have to recognize that most people are social animals who just go with
succumb to peer pressure.
Yeah, they give into peer pressure, and so part of my spiel is to be an educator and a motivator, and to make sure people take this shit seriously and don't turn their back on it. Because how would you like it if I turned my back on you? Like, if you were the victim and I was speaking up for you, and then all of a sudden I started paying for your slaughter, like, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, and
ridiculous.
The alcoholics, the friends of Bill, will say things like, well, if you hang out in if you hang out in a barbershop long enough, you're getting a haircut. And have you ever heard that one? When you ever had any?
Good.
Yeah, it's like something that people in recovery will say, so that they don't go to bars, like, because they'll be like, I don't go to bars, because if you go to the barbershop enough, you're getting a haircut. You can hang out there long enough. And so I could see that, but that's like, again, seeing maybe because that person always saw animals as products that that she's foregoing and not really as beings with rights.
But she didn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, she was a
Yeah.
legit vegan. People can change though. Like, they can go back on it, and it's sad. But like, this person I think had gotten arrested for animals intentionally. You know, like high level stuff.
Gets arrested for animals and now is paying for their slaughter.
Yeah.
That's a Benedict Arnold, you know, what a turncoat.
Yeah, for sure.
Piece of
But again, that's
shit.
another person who would not get in our way if we passed a law to ban slaughterhouses. They would
You're
let
right.
us. They would let us force them to be vegan.
Well, it's funny because I say, you know, all the time, you know, people don't know new carny friends. This happened recently. Well, for the last couple of years, I'm like, if you're already you're grandfathered in, all right, maybe. Although I've gotten rid of most of my old carny friends too. There's only a couple left. But if you're in carny and you want to be part of my life, need not apply. Fuck off. Like, I want nothing to do with someone who's some blood-mouthed carny who's fucking around murdering animals. I want nothing to do with them.
I mean, it's one thing, like, for me, maybe like I'll give them a grace period of like educational stuff, like, you know, to, you know, let them, you know, get their toes wet and stuff. But if after that, then it's like, well, yeah, you know, because it's like, and because they would do the same thing with a habitual dog kicker. They wouldn't hang out with them. They wouldn't be all like everything.
Child molester, you know, a rapist. Yeah, you wouldn't allow it. You wouldn't want to be friends with those people. It's kind of like, I get what you're saying though. For educational purposes, I will deign to speak to a carny. But like, I like to say that everyone's allowed in the lobby, but only certain people are allowed in the suites. You know what I mean?
I understand. Yeah, I only date animal rights activists for sure.
If you want to get in bed,
Yeah.
fuck, no way. I ain't sharing a key in a bank account with somebody who murders animals in their free time. You know what I'm saying?
For real. Well, let me plug this event that's coming up tomorrow.
Do it.
We've got the Animal Liberation March in New York City, right at the Flatiron Building at 12:30 p.m.
I saw that.
And I'm going to be helping to lead chants. So we're going to probably have about 500 vegans, and it's going to be crazy. You know, we're going to have some drummers and making a whole bunch of noise with those giant megaphones. And James Cromwell, the actor from Babe, the farmer, he'll be there. He was also in American Horror Story. And then
he also was he glued himself to a Starbucks counter recently. I saw him do that one. Yeah.
I hope his hand's okay. But,
I'm sure that didn't hurt James Cromwell. I'm sure he's fine.
He gets arrested. I was his driver once when we rescued 100 turkeys from slaughter in Utah a few years ago. And he held like a dead piglet in City Hall and gave this amazing speak out, you know. And but he said that he gets arrested for different social justice causes like once a year. He like dedicates some time to go to jail.
Once a year.
In between filming. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was in Succession too.
Yeah,
so he's got a busy schedule still. He's still a working actor. So Flatiron Building, a bunch of vegans. I saw this on the internet. 500 people. I saw it posted. Your social media is in the show notes of this, but most people probably can find you. But the historic Flatiron Building.
Yeah, 12:30 p.m. tomorrow, September 2nd, Saturday. And it's gonna be a mess of noise, I'm telling you, because I'm coming full throttle. I ain't messing around because I know about these New York activists. They're hardcore, and so that sounds right up my alley. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, man. I'm hoping Kirsten will be there. I know Stuart's probably going to be there. There's a lot of guys that I know that are planning on being there.
Entice So Nice, the lyrical vegan. She's gonna be there giving a speech.
I just found out I might actually be seeing her because I'll be in Ithaca sometime this year, and I'm gonna really hopefully get on this PETA tour. I'm hopefully gonna see her. I've never met her in person. She's been on the show, but she's never, I don't get to see these people in person. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, this will be my first time meeting her. And another thing I should recommend is the Plant-Based Treaty. From the Save movement, Anita Kreintz. She's been pushing the Plant-Based Treaty, and so we should all look that up and you can just go to plantbasedtreaty.org and then you'll find your city like New York or LA or whatever, and you can just hit a button and sign, and like hit another button real quick, and like it'll send a letter to your congressperson or something like that, your city council, and about the plant-based treaty. So plantbasedtreaty.org, and then the animal.
Yeah, we were pushing.
Go ahead.
We were pushing the plant-based treaty a lot a couple months ago. Grumpy Vegan Granddad and I were like pushing it quite a bit, and I guess I haven't mentioned it for a while, so I'm glad you brought it up and put it back in my active memory. Yeah, plant-based treaty is pretty awesome. Everyone should sign it. If you haven't signed it already, sign that damn thing. Get involved. You know, it's super easy.
Yeah, it's an easy way to contact your local legislators and stuff, and just give them a little push, a little nudge. Right.
Yeah. Because every town can be on the plant-based treaty, and then the states can be on the plant-based treaty. It's pretty
and
neat.
remember, like that's what we did with the fur ban, the California fur ban. It started with just a handful of activists approaching their local council members in West Hollywood, and there were animal lovers on the city council, and they banned fur. You know, and then they did the same thing in Berkeley, California, and then San Francisco, and then Los Angeles, and then the governor signed a statewide ban on fur, you know, and it only took like 300 activists and 3 years, and we took down this $40 million per year industry. So
it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, there's West Hollywood just made glue traps illegal, and they're thinking that it'll be the next big kind of push, because glue traps are fucking disgusting and horrible. Yeah. So we're getting rid of those, hopefully. I think more and more. It doesn't take much. It's just every little domino, you know. It's California is a good example, because we've had some pretty significant headway, you know. And then New York too.
Hey, you want to hear a vegan joke?
Yes.
All right.
Of course I do.
How many crazy vegans does it take to change a light bulb? Stop hurting animals.
I like that one.
Yeah, I made that up. Thank you very much. Another one is I'm not a vegan because I love animals. I'm a vegan because I hate plants.
Yeah, I like that one. I've heard that one. I thought I've said a lot of times, oh, you love I'm not a vegan, I love animals. No, I hate animals. That's why I don't eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't even touch them.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Won't go near them. What is your so usually at the end of the show we ask, you know, what other kind of life you live outside, what other kind of shit are you into outside of this, you know, that when you're outside the vegan echo chamber, what do you do to relax, have fun? What kind of nerdy stuff do you nerd out about? What are you into?
Well, I just got a new motorcycle, so that's one thing. It's a Kawasaki Z650, like black and green. I'm gonna paint the wheels green, and it's just super fast, 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. Woo!
Shit.
So that's good. I wear my helmet and all my armored motorcycle gear, you know, so I'm being as safe as I can. I got to slow down though, because like I had a real close encounter with a deer, you know, and so I'm out in those country roads, you know. But so that's one thing. So motorcycling, and then I like singing death metal, like vegan.
You do?
Yeah, I do some vegan songs. Like I don't know if you heard my cover of John Sacker's song "Go Vegan, Motherfucker."
No, I have not heard that, but now I want to. Do you do you do that one?
Yeah, I don't go as deep as some other people, but I got my own style that growls, you know. So like it's kind of like. Go vegan, go vegan, go! Go vegan, go vegan, go! Go vegan, go vegan, go! Go vegan, motherfucker!
You got the motherfucker perfectly. That was very death metal. I love it. I first it's almost like Vanilla Ice did the Go Ninja Go.
Yeah.
There's some nerdy overlap there. The motorcycle thing, I hope you are, man. When I took motorcycle lessons, they told me, Sky, you know, you like going fast, go pay your $100 and go on a track. Go pay $100, go as fast as you want, go on a track. Don't do it on the road. Don't go. I didn't have much of a motorcycle life, but I really wanted to. But people die out there, man. You got to be careful.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and I'm trying to stay out there.
Rubber side down.
Yeah, fighting the fight for as long as I can. So
Yeah,
but,
for
yeah,
sure.
some other stuff, just comedy. I like to laugh. I like to make other people laugh. I'm kind of goofy, and I like movies and TV shows. Yeah, there's a really great TV show on Netflix called Midnight Mass.
I love that show, man.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, the Flanagan. I think it's the Flanagan verse or whatever. The Midnight Mass with about the vampires, right?
Well, don't ruin it.
Is that ruined? Did I spoil it?
Spoil it.
That's not a spoil. That's like
I'd
it's
say that's a bit of a spoiler.
the first episode. Come on.
I'm just one of them people who's like, don't say nothing about nothing. Just tell me the
I
name.
don't understand people that are so.
So everybody go watch Midnight Mass. Also watch District 9.
Did you like The Haunting of Hill House? His other two, because he's on 4 on Netflix. Oh, I love the Hill House one. And what about the Bly Manor?
But Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass, you like?
Yeah.
You like the long
And
monologues about the meaning of life.
Yeah, and then if you want something funny on Netflix, check out Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
I haven't really watched that one. Is it good?
It's hilarious. This poor girl gets kidnapped by a crazy preacher and put into a bunker for 15 years. He told her that the earth was all gone, Armageddon, and so he's saving her life and all this. But then the cops come and free her, and she's all happy. But like the whole 15 years, she never let it beat her spirit. She's Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And it's hilarious, trust me.
Oh, maybe I'll check it out. You know what's funny? I didn't want to. I thought so. The guy who made Midnight Mass, he came out with the new thing that he did with like the kids that are part of they're in a school where they're like in some kind of cult or something. It's shit. What was that movie called? They made a show where the kids are like telling stories in the middle of the night. It looked like it was going to be like Goosebumps or something, but it wasn't very good. But I started my Netflix back up because of that. Because Netflix is the only one that I cancel frequently because
really?
like they don't keep up with shit. Like and then they cancel the good stuff. They piss me off too much, Netflix. But like. I'm always back, so when I'm back, I'll get Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Okay, well, if you need to protest against Netflix, you know who's got the megaphone.
Yeah, it's true. I've been trying to make sure that people call it a megaphone instead of a bullhorn because species is yeah. Midnight Mass is pretty good. All right, people like it. Everyone's angry with me, saying that I'm a friggin' spoiler. That show's fucking 5 years old, guys.
Yeah, that too.
Like, what is the statute of limitation on spoiling? Everyone's like,
well,
what happens?
I didn't even spoil District 9, though, and it came out in 2009. I didn't even spoil that one. I just gave you the layout. The layout.
You did it. You spoiled it. That they're experimenting on them, and there's like the guy that wants to eat them.
Oh, you're right.
Come on.
Shame.
I'm not the only one here. Blomkamp. What's that director's name? Blomkamp. He directed the new he has a movie out right now. It's the Gran Turismo. He did the new one where they're playing the kids that play video games and they become Formula One racers. The true story.
Cool. No, I don't know about that one.
It's a true story that they took these kids who were really good at racing in the video game and they gave them real cars and had them race for real.
Oh dang.
Blomkamp, something like that. The guy who directed
Neil Blomkamp.
Blomkamp, yeah, he's a good director.
Yeah,
he doesn't get. Yeah. I've seen District 9, so it doesn't count. You guys need to keep up. What do you guys? I don't understand people. I barely watch TV. I watch like 90 minutes a day. I think it's because I never watch anything twice. That's how I've had to think. Like,
oh really? I watch good movies and TV shows. I watch like 3 times.
Oh, like I barely ever. I watched Haunting of Hill House twice because I thought it was really good. But nah, man, I don't really. I'll watch one thing and I'm done. I'll remember it forever. I don't know. I'm like weird like that. So maybe that's why everyone's like watching shit 3 times. That's why they don't see as much stuff as I have. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, Chase Avior, thank you so much. You are doing the protest. Wait, is it tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow. And technically, my name is Avier, son. Avier.
Avier.
That's a hard A, like rhymes with behavior. Bad behavior.
Bad behavior. I love it.
Bad man.
I only know how other people say it. You know what I mean?
Some people try and say avoir.
Well, originally, I'm sure that the first time I saw it, I probably thought the same thing, avoir.
Yeah.
Because if the I were on the other side of the O.
Exactly. Yeah. And that would be French. Yeah, but I'm Scottish. If it's not
Avier.
If it's not Scottish, it's crap.
It's not Scott. I love you. I always have.
Always have.
Maria.
It's great. It's fantastic.
It's great. It's great. They can take away our lives, but they can't take away our freedom.
Hey, there's no excuse for animal abuse.
Oh, I like it. I got like a Sir William Wallace type of thing going on there. It's nice. That was good. Oh, I saw Vitch. That was a good one. 7 days in a row. So you watch that 7 times. No wonder shit gets spoiled to you, man. You got to keep up. We're in a race. We're in a race. From now on, we're racing. I'm not going to worry about spoiling shit for y'all. If it's over a week old, don't come at me. Fucking get blasted for spoiling The Sixth Sense. Motherfuckers.
I hear that motherfucker dead the whole time.
He's dead the whole time. How dare you, Sky? I haven't seen it. You spoiled The Sixth Sense.
Oh boy.
This is my life. Yeah. Deb Thompson likes it. All right, guys, thank you so much for everyone, and thank you, Chase Avier. At least I've learned that. Like, it rhymes with bad behavior.
Yeah. Let's put those avoir rumors to rest.
Let's put them to bed right now. Let's settle this shit once and for all.
I love the French, but I'm not a Frenchman. I'm Scottish.
Scottish. Yeah, I let's get one thing straight, sir. Yeah. It's Avier. Like aviator. Like bad behavior. I like that. Like bad behavior. I like it. It's good. Son. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Sayonara, suckers.
All right. And wait, real quick though, you got to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yes, it's in the show notes. All his shit is in the show notes, and it's Avier. Don't put the I on the other side. That's his imposter. That's his evil twin. It's like when Spock went to the. Never mind. He's got. Chase Avoir has a long mustache and a goatee.
Help me! I'm gonna kiss the puppy. Help me kiss the puppy.
You did it.
I'm gonna kiss the piggy.
Kiss the piggy. Nice. That's really good. You did it perfectly. You interacted with the green screen perfectly. Good work.
I could have been a weatherman.
You could have been a because you make it rain?
Yeah.
I could have been a weatherman, son. Yeah, you could have been. But there's that
rain, fool.
But there's that thing on your record.
Yeah, but there's that thing on my record, so they won't let me pass the weather.
I always wanted to be a weatherman, but there's that thing on my record. God damn it.
Damn.
That's my excuse for not having been a weatherman. My mom always wanted me to be a weatherman, and you know,
I let her down. I let down the whole family.
I let down the whole family. I wanted to be I would come from a long line of meteorologists, and I just couldn't cut the mustard.
Now my mama don't know if the sun is shining.
She don't know if it's gonna hail or storm. She don't know nothing. God damn.
You gotta stick her head out the window, but by then it's too late. She get rained on.
My mom's so dumb. She walks outside when it's chilly with a bowl.
Oh, stop it! Your mama's a saint. I love my mama. I love you, mama.
Love you, mama. That's what I like. I love that when people do that. I love you, mama. Yeah. I like Carter the Fifth, like Lil Wayne always does that. So it's like, love you, mama. I love you, mama. Like in half of his songs, she's like, love you, mama. Love you, Lil Wayne. I love you, mama. Really good. Can you imagine like like Guns N' Roses or Metallica doing that shit, like really badass like heavy metal people or anything ever doing like I love you, mama. No.
That would be silly. Speaking of music, though, one last thing. You got to check out my video, Jail for Justice,
Jail for Justice.
on YouTube. It's a protest song from 1969, and it used to be like a folk song. It was the guitar, like, have you been to jail for justice? I want to shake your hand. But then from this lady, right? But then I turned it all metal. I'm like, have you been to jail for justice?
I like that.
It's good stuff. And then I got this hoodie. Someone's asking where I got this hoodie. This is from DXD, directactioneverywhere.com. You can probably find the hoodie.
Here you go, DXE. Come on, Vegan Han. You got to ask me 12 times. You could have put a super chat in there. I would have put you up right away.
And yeah, I got another song coming out soon called Vegan Blues. That's going to be a good one. Really hardcore.
So if I put you into are you on whatever that distribution thing is? So if I'm on like TikTok and I put up a video, could I use your song by searching it in TikTok?
Probably not. No,
Damn, you gotta hook that up.
Yeah, but I'm gonna make an album and put it up on Spotify. Hopefully.
You gotta put it on the shit. Like, dude, I talked to that vegan teacher, and she
Yeah.
makes 15-second songs now, and she just needs to make enough of them, and then she uploads the album, and then people use those songs on TikTok, and she gets paid for that.
Nice.
That's
nice.
Nice. Yeah, that's like vegan for cuddles is always like nice. Right? Yeah, I mean, I think that it means shit. If you're making music about vegan shit, I would use your stuff when I make like little clips and stuff.
Yeah, I got some good stuff out there.
Oh, I mean, you're making it anyway. Upload that shit to whoever that distributor is. I'm sure they take a piece, but I mean, you get a little money.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Thanks for the suggestion.
You're welcome, sir. That one's for free. Ladies and gentlemen, vegans of all ages, thank you so much for joining us. Chase Avior rhymes with bad behavior. Peace.
It's so hard to not abuse animals.
Carnies can fuck themselves. Go fuck themselves.
This is a show for vegans. This is a show for vegans. This is a show for
Guys, thank you so much. Sunday, we're still doing Sunday school. I will be here, but Lauren will be at the sanctuary, so it should be cool. I'm hoping that we got Vega Rican on as a special guest on Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Don't forget, no pre-shift on Monday. I don't even know if we're going to be able to do a show at night on Monday. I don't know if I will be streaming at all. It's Labor Day here, and I will be in an airplane for most of the day, flying to Virginia to start with PETA, start touring with PETA on Monday. So I'm not really sure, but we will be back on track here soon. Don't forget, Sunday, Vegan Sunday School is happening. Illegitimate Non-Carborundum, thank you so much for helping me make my dream come true. I just want to make shit for vegans. Thank you for making that possible. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget to like this video for the love of Christ. Illegitimate Non-Carborundum. Don't let the bastards grind you down. I need you, the animals need you, and we need each other. So thanks. Bye, guys.